Do you want to simplify the way you build terminal scripts? Join me on a unique scripting adventure where I'll be using a custom GPT agent, the shell script helper, to transform the way I build shell scripts. Today's challenge, I'm going to apply a script crafted with this GPT to seamlessly compile individual recordings from a video into neatly organized chapters. Let's dive in. I've just put together this GPT agent, which I'm calling Shell Script Helper. And the role of this agent is that it should assist me in writing and debugging shell scripts. An overview of this bot is that it's specialized in developing shell scripts. It can handle debug, console logging sort of concepts, and also work with various parameters, whether they be optional or required. The main guidelines of the bot is that it helps with multi-parameter scripts, it helps with debugging, and it helps with best practices. Now, if we look at the commands that I'd like to support within it, the basic command is that I want to develop a script based on a requirement. Next, I want to enhance that script. So I might get the basic capabilities of the script working, but then I want to add in either debugging or maybe other optional parameters. So this command is designed to deal with that. And the last command here called code is where I just give the GPT agent all the code I've got so that it can memorize it. There's responses for each of these commands, and the code one is a good example where all I want it to do is say thank you with the updated code. I don't want it to show the code, I just want it to say thank you. Let's take our agent definition and we'll head over to GPT and we'll just paste it in and let GPT start deciding what it needs to do to get this definition working. So it's taken our information, it's come up with the idea of script helper. I prefer it to be shell script helper, so we'll just let that happen. It's come up with a logo that looks like a shell. Maybe this is quite appropriate for a shell script helper. There's definitely the technical design going on behind it, so this should be good. It's also come up with some starter conversations. I don't personally like to use these, so we'll just pop in over here and remove these through. What it'll have done is modified my agent a little bit. Now, I tend to bring my agents back verbatim. I don't tend to go with what ChatGPT has suggested because it loses a little bit of the detail that I like to have. So let's just paste this in. So we've got the original agent that I designed. It says here specializes in aiding the development of robust shell scripts, focusing on scripts with multiple parameters and console debugging. It's called Shell Script Helper. I don't think we need Code Interpreter, but I'm going to turn it on and we'll just hit save. Test this out. I want to create a shell script that's going to take the recordings that I'm doing within this video and break them down into chapters. So let's try that out. Now this script is about taking individual recordings such as the ones in this video and putting them into chapters. So when I talked about the GPT agent, that was in chapter 2. When I talked about creating it in ChatGPT, that was in chapter 3, and we're currently on chapter 4. So what I want to do is take these files individually, join them together into a new file over in the chapters folder. Now, before we start writing our script, we'll head over to the Shell Script Helper, where we have a starter conversation called help. And this will basically give us the commands that we can use within this GPT agent. And the one I'm interested in with starting is the script command. And what we'll do is we'll start writing the word script, and we will follow it up with a prompt at this point. Now, I've come over to Visual Studio and I have a script that I've already written in the past. It uses FFmpeg to join a bunch of videos together. And the way it works is it loops through all the movie files in a particular folder, sorts them alphabetically, so the O1 will come before the O5, for instance, and puts all that information into a text file. That text file is then fed into FFmpeg using this input command, and the output of the file currently goes into 00-full.movie. Now this script works fine when I want to take all my little recordings and make it one video, but what we want to do is do it as a chapter. So we will write our prompt here and then transfer it over to ChatGPT. So I've just put a little bit of a description in front of the script we want that says, I have used the following script to combine all the files in a folder into a single video called 00-move. I'll extend the prompt with, I need a new script that takes the chapter ID, such as 1 or 2, from the related recordings and put them into a chapter video. Now the chapter video is going to be up one level to the parent in /chapters. The name of the chapter video should be the chapter ID, and then the first segment after a part ID. So what does that mean? If I paste this in and I say files are formatted as chapter ID, which is the O1 or the O2, followed by a part ID, which is A, B, C. Then there's multiple words, which I would call segments. And in this case, the first video should be called O1 introduction. The second one should be O2 GPT agent. So what we could do here is output example, and we'll just change these. We'll just change these 2 words to chapters. We'll get rid of these segments, get rid of these part IDs, and we'll just remove that. We'll take all of this prompt and we'll head back over to our GPT where we've started it off with the idea of the script command, and we'll just paste everything that we just typed straight in, and let's see if it creates a program that'll work for us. It's a script that it's written and everything seems to be okay. I haven't tested it. One of the things I noticed is that the input folder assumes that you're in a recordings folder under wherever you are right now. Now this won't be the case for me. I will specifically be in the recordings folder, then I want to go up one directory to the chapters. So this will need to change to a full stop. We'll have to have a look whether all this code works. Let's have a look at this script and see if it's going to do what we need. The first thing it does is check if the chapter ID is provided. So if there's no parameter 1, then it echoes an error message and it exits out of the system. If there is one, then it stores that value into the chapter ID. The next thing is the input and output folders. As I said earlier, I think I want to get rid of the recordings because I will run it from the recordings directory, and I want to create the chapter files one level up from the recordings directory. Now it's trying to find the first recording for a particular chapter ID, puts it into a variable called first file. It's looking in the input folder. It's looking for the chapter ID that we've just passed in, and then it's getting a list of all the movie files and sorting them. That's important, is that my movie files will be labeled A, B, C, and D within a chapter, and we just want to access the first file to get the title name. Now, if it doesn't find a first file, it reports an error and it exits. So that looks good. It's written this regular expression to extract the title from the first file. And it says title equals from the first file, which should have a chapter ID. That's whatever we passed in. It could be something like 01 or 02. Then there will be a part or segment ID, and that'll be A, B, C, D, or E. Now, because this file was already sorted, usually it's going to be an A in that position. The next thing is it's going to, by group, get all the characters up to the first dash and then follow it up by the star.movie. That will become the title. Next, it gathers up all the files for the particular chapter, so all the recordings that start with O1 or O2, and puts it into a text file called videolist.tx, and then makes the output directory if it doesn't exist. Next, it's going to use ffmpeg to read through the video list txt file that we have and put a new file in the output folder called chapterid-title.move. Lastly, it cleans up that file, so that'll get removed and we'll be ready for the next chapter recording after running. And there's just a little echo statement. I think this code's going to work. Let's go test it. Here we have all the recordings that we've been working through. We've got chapter 1, we've got chapter 2 here, chapter 3, currently we're up to chapter 7. And what needs to happen is they need to be combined and go into a video file within this chapters directory. Come to our recordings directory, run it. It's taking the 12-second file, the 13-second file, and then it'll take a little bit longer with the 54-second file. But in a moment, we should have a new chapter file called chapters02 gpt-agent.move. What I'll do is I'll move this video that's been created. It's 1 minute and 20 seconds, and we'll just hit play on it for a second. I've just put together this GPT agent, which I'm calling shell script. That sounds like it's the first 12 seconds of the video. So I've done the first chapter and then thought, do I really want to do these as individual commands, or could we either adapt the script so it can take a range of chapter IDs to work on, or create a new script, call this for each and every ID that we pass in? I think I'll go with the latter. We go back to the top of our GPT agent that we created called shell script helper. You can see the 3 commands that we've worked with. The initial script was created with that command. Then we pasted in our edited code using this one, and we made a modification around the regular expressions with this one. What we'll do is we'll run one more script command down the bottom. We'll just say script, and I think I can just type this prompt. Now the script we want is that it can create a new script called createchapters.sh. It will be called with the chapter IDs, and it will call the create chapter recording script that we already created with each of the IDs. I think what lastly we should do is write some sort of usage, and this is what we're going to call it, and it should work with 01, 02, 03, 04, something like this, and we'll press enter, see what we come up with. Now we have a new bash script called create chapters. You can pass in some IDs. If nothing is passed in, it will report an error. Then it just loops through each of the IDs and calls our existing create chapter from recording script for each time. There's a little bit of error logging, and then lastly, creation process complete. We're now in our recording folder, and we have chapters all the way up to chapter 11. Now, we got 1 and 2 done earlier. We'll move on to 3, 4, and 5 right now. So if we go create chapters 3, 4, and 5, we know something's been created. 03 GPTs, 04 FFmpeg, 05 writing the script, which is still being developed at the moment. I think everything's working quite nicely. It's already done 6. Now, while it's doing that, let's just pop into the recordings folder for a second and see how many videos there really are here. It's saying there are 44 parts to the video that you're watching right now, all the way from introduction to this area where we're creating the chapters shell script. Now all the chapters from the video have been created. One of the things to note is that there's 2 that look like they're the same, 08 demonstration and 09 demonstration, and that was just a typo when I was doing the recordings. Now I am creating software called Fly Video, which is all about automating YouTube influence. So I'll solve that when I'm writing that particular software. That's the shell script helper agent. I love using it when I need to build a bash script or a script in any language like Ruby or Python. If you want to see 3 scripts I use with software development agents, then check out this video from the Building Fly Video series. If you're fascinated by the blend of GPT and app development, show your support. Hit the like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below.